All right, I'm gonna jump us into what we're here for tonight and call this meeting to order. I would recognize visitors, but looks like we may not have any visitors aside from anyone that's here for new business. And so I will take a motion on minutes for July 26, 2023.
Mr. Chair, I move that we accept the minutes as presented for Wednesday, July 26, 2023.
Motion to accept, approve the minutes. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries for approval of Wednesday, July 26, 2023 minutes. Okay, so looking on this agenda for new business, we have an item, I think, to get make a decision on how the use of neurofeedback, what classification that would fit into.
Correct.
Okay.
So, according to, let me start here. I gave you all these little packets, and this packet is if you go to the page number 24, so flip the first page over, that is our list of allowable land uses per zone. So those are broken out into about 5 different categories. So you've got residential, you've got public and semi-public, business and personal services, retail, health services, professional services, education and social services, warehousing, storage. Oh, there's definitely more than 5. Sorry, about 10. Manufacturing and agriculture. So, as you'll hear this evening, Miss Trawick, is that how you pronounce that? Okay, nailed it. Miss Trawick does a business that is, the brand name of it is NeuroOptimal. And what it is a neurofeedback training. And so I actually may ask her to add to this conversation, but I've done a little research, and so as we know, neurofeedback is not a listing in our uses. So I think the first thing that we need to determine is how this fits in. And that comes from our land management and development ordinance, that if there's an unclassified use, so that it's just not listed there, the Board of Adjustments may determine in which category, so one of those main categories, an unclassified use shall be classified. And making their determination, the Board of Adjustments shall consider the characteristics of the site, the surrounding area, and the proposed use. So in this particular case, the request will be for a single-family residential zone. But first, what I'd like to do is give you all some just information of what I pulled on what is neurofeedback. You may know, I didn't. So.
And I brought flyers too, and this little thing that goes over really clear, plain language about the benefits of it or what it does.
So what I'll do is I'll go through the information that I gathered, and then I think it might, if we need more information, it might be good to hear from an expert in the area. So I pulled from 3 different resources. The first one is the International Society for Neuroregulation and Research. So what is neurofeedback? Often referred to as EEG biofeedback or brainwave training. It is a type of biofeedback in which individuals are trained to improve their brain function. Extensive research demonstrates its efficiency for specific conditions such as ADHD, epilepsy. Scientific studies show it is promising for autistic spectrum disorders, anxiety, depression, insomnia, chronic pain, addiction, traumatic brain injury. Neurofeedback has its foundation in basic and applied neuroscience, as well as evidence-based clinical practice. So it says, like other biofeedback, neurofeedback uses sensors to detect physical changes of the body. Neurofeedback therefore involves placing small sensors on the scalp to see changes in a person's brainwave activity. Precisely detecting brainwave activity allows it to be immediately analyzed by a computer that then presents sound and video information based on the brain's performance. Using the feedback, the individual learns to regulate or control his or her own brain states. So it's a training. This is helpful because the state of the brain has a strong influence on how the person thinks, acts, feels emotionally and physically. Another one, just a Wikipedia search. It's a type of biofeedback that focuses on neurological activity of the brain. The training method is based on reinforcement learning, where real-time feedback provided to the trainee is supposed to reward and reinforce desired brain activity or inhibit unfavorable activity patterns. In short, it is self-regulating training that generally uses EEG for operant conditioning. And then just lastly, I thought this one was a good, just kind of common sense approach. So neurofeedback, also known as EEG, is a therapeutic intervention that provides immediate feedback from a computer-based program that assesses a client's brainwave activity. The program uses auditory or visual signals to help patients recognize their thought patterns and try to modify them. Through this process, clients can learn to regulate and improve their brain function and hopefully alleviate symptoms of various neurological disorders and mental health conditions. So is there anything you, do you all understand what the process is? So it's literally hooking up to the machine, the computer's giving you the information, but it's not really a counseling. It's not really, it's more just like the person is receiving the feedback. So what I understand is there'll be one or two persons at a time come in. I'm guessing you're going to have a lot of these. It wouldn't be more than one or two people at a time, correct? Yeah, one or two at a time come in, 30-minute sessions or so. Yep, and they basically sit there for the session and then get their feedback. So kind of shorter intervals of time. And so my suggestion, so again, the first thing that we as a group need to do. Yeah,
I just wonder, have we entered into the quasi-judicial portion, just being new business? I'm just wondering if we'll need to have her sworn in to present at this point, or? Yes, okay, well then, yeah.
Okay. So if you'll come on up to the podium,
Thank you.
either one's fine.
Thank you.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
So for the record, you can give your name and,
Yes. Sarita Traywick.
okay.
Thank you.
Do you want me to stay up here?
Yeah.
So,
The only thing that I would add, and I don't know if this hurt me, but it's the truth, is that I am a licensed clinical therapist, and it can be paired with that kind of support if someone needs it, if they don't. And there are codes that can be billed to insurance for that mental health treatment. And so then they like for us to do it because we're trained in that way. And then the second thing is I just want to make a distinction. There's two different kinds. There's one called linear and then this one. And the linear requires a lot more EEG kind of manipulation for the brain. And I chose not that one. I chose the one where it's a standard procedure for everyone. And their brain is doing the work, basically. So it's not me trying to manipulate anything.
So is so there is, in your specific case, going to be some counseling services that go with it?
That can go
That
with it.
can,
I mean,
okay.
you know, and that's the thing I assess, right? That's part of
Sure.
my job is I assess for that. And I will say, I'm recently moved here from Oregon. Thank you. I love it here. And while I was there, I did it. And if it was a client that had some severe trauma and they really couldn't access, you know, doing the work in therapy, I did, you know, like, or a couple people, they did the neurofeedback for 6 months, and then they were actually able to make use of the counseling. So sometimes it can supplement and complement, but sometimes they even use it for, to be honest, they use it for like sports training, you know, for lower anxiety so that you can perform better. And there's multiple uses, you know, for that. So, nothing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So then I guess since, I have a question, I should have probably said that. Since she is a licensed therapist and would sometimes offer therapy, would that not fall under the educational social services category of counseling services
That we already have.
that we already have?
Yeah, and my concern, just again, why I wanted to separate it is just because it can be the standalone, and if that's, you know, if that service was offered just with that service and not a counseling service. And that's really the question, and that's where I would just thought we needed to have the conversation to see where it fits in. And I think potentially it very well could fit in to, something that we already have. So, you know, if we as a group think it falls under educational and social services for counseling service, that is currently a permitted or a conditionally permitted use in R1. And so we will just proceed in that manner. Again, just, I needed to get that feedback from you all, to make sure that, we all understood what we're trying to, where we're trying to get here.
So would we need a motion separate from the conditional use, stating as such if that was the decision to?
That would be my opinion, unless corporate counsel says differently, that we get a motion to say that the biofeedback would be considered a counseling service under the current counseling listing that we have. But do we need a vote for that?
Make a finding on the application as to what category it fits in, if it does.
So we don't need a vote from them.
You just need a vote on the application.
Oh, okay, I understand.
as to-
Okay,
And with a finding
That it
what
is, okay.
category it fits in,
I'm sorry.
Yep, okay.
and whether it is an approval or disapproval of the conditional use application.
Okay, I understand.
All right, well, any discussion? Given that, I think we should move to item 2 of new business, which is Sarita Trawick for a conditional use request for a neurooptimal training office in an R1 single-family residential / PUD planned utility development zone for 409 Middle Creek Way. And as we've discussed, that conditional use would identify this as a unique conditional use or finding that it fits within one of our existing conditional uses. So any questions for, regarding the use?
And Ms. Trawick,
Or
if
the-
you would like, if you want to, now might be a good time for you to, if you prepared a statement to just, you know, how many clients do you expect to have? What are your hours? General information about the business itself that's going to be a home-based business that might be appropriate at this time. So if you wouldn't mind to just come back up.
And just to confirm, all public notices have gone out to adjoining neighbors? Yep,
They have.
okay, thanks.
Thank you.
So, I don't like to work too late. It's my general business hours, right now, because I do telehealth counseling from home. They're from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. But knowing people with work, I would be willing for neurofeedback only to open up, those hours for a weekend and evening, to be honest. And the other piece that is kind of funny, but is that, I have one car that I share with my son. He's in college. And so I don't have any cars in my lot most of the time. So I would have less than most of the people that live there, one or two at a time. So I just wanted to share that too. But yeah, so it'll be roughly those hours. And I have a space specifically set up for it, a room. And all the materials, I have all of the consent, people sign consent forms for it. We track, I have collected great data. It's built into their business, Neural Optimal's business, is to be able to track. I provide graphs for people on their progress and what they've experienced, or not, because that can happen. But yeah, so there's that. It's a 33-minute session. I only have one chair right now. I do have 2 machines, so it'd probably be 1 to start, but it could, if it's looking good, I can get another one and do 2. And sometimes too, it's helpful to have, if a mom and a child, them there together, or a couple, next to each other, can be really helpful for regulating too. So that might happen. I think what else?
So you would only have one or just 2 people there at a time?
Yeah, 1 to 2.
So you could really do this procedure only on one person at a time since you just have one chair, right?
Right now, it would be 1. There is a way to separate, with a screen and have 2 people in at one time, but I'm not, but I want to put that out there that could, be it. I've seen it done. The place that I went to receive it, in Oregon, they did that. My son and I went together. He was on one side of the screen, I was on the other.
But I mean, if you have 2 people there at one time, most of the time those people would be related. They would not be
Yes. Yeah, I'm not going to have someone waiting. It would be staggered, and I stagger in between because I do a cleaning, process and all. You have to clean the sensors and the chair and stuff.
Okay.
So it would be, if it were 2, it would be family members.
Okay.
Yeah. Most or couples or. Can't think. Is there any? Let's see.
So there's room for how many cars in the driveway? 2?
Well, I have neighbors that have 3 and 4 cars. It's a 2-car garage
Okay.
space, so. Yeah.
So yeah, it's a 2-car garage, but then I'm gonna zoom in just a little bit
Yeah.
on her house.
You gonna look at my?
And so she is this second one on Middle Creek Way.
Wait,
and
no,
so-
3rd. I should be.
Oh.
Oh, right. No, you're right. On Middle Creek Way.
Okay,
You're
yeah,
right.
on
you're right,
Middle
You're
Creek,
right.
yeah.
You're right.
So,
That's
most of the, well, there's a truck parked right there, there's a car parked right there. So you can see that you can fit 2 vehicles
Mm-hmm.
there side by side on those driveways.
The people next to me, though, the 413, they have 3 cars, and they can fit 3, 2 back to back, and then 1 on the other side. So
I drove by there today. I didn't see any on-street parking. So is that permitted in that?
I've seen it. People do it, but not much at all, and they wouldn't have to because I have the garage, and sometimes don't even have the car.
And that street's a little narrower than some in
Yeah.
Stony Creek, so, I believe, if I recall correctly, that particular street's deed restricted.
Okay.
That there's not supposed to be parking on the street, just because it is a little more narrow. But that's not, because it's a deed restriction, not a city ordinance, it's not really something that our police department polices regularly,
Yeah, it's not ideal. I've
It's
seen
not
people do
ideal.
it, but it's not ideal. And the other thing, to be honest, if I were, to get, another car, there could be 1 in the garage, and still have that, because my son will probably have the other one if I get one. So there would still be the full driveway.
Any other questions or discussion? Have you discussed this with your neighbors at all?
I did, but I don't think it's one of the people. She's one more over this way. She's really on Wildwood Way. You saw her last night. I've talked to her about it. And yeah, that's it. I haven't talked to anyone else about it. I mean, I you know, the notices went out, and then I plan to also, you know, post it, because if it's neurofeedback and not the therapy, you know, neighbors are welcome to try it too. So,
I know you're a licensed clinical therapist, but have you ever felt uncomfortable in a situation where you're in your home and somebody else has come into your home and you may not know that person that well? Do you have any way to protect yourself or anything?
you know, that's a great question. It really is, and I appreciate you asking that, because I have thought about that, and I ideally would prefer like an office in the backyard, like a she shed or something like that, to see people. And that was a question I had tonight, if that was even, you know, some kind of option. But you're right. I did check with the LCSW board here in Kentucky, and it is allowed. But you're right. My preference would be somewhere, you know, even in the garage or.
You'd have access to 911 and
Oh yeah.
any
Oh yeah.
situation.
Yeah, I worked in crisis services.
You're quite a ways away from the police department, out that way.
Well, can the people that live there respond? The police officers?
Yeah, there are some police
'Cause
officers
we got a
that
lot.
live there.
If you're monitoring, I think there's only
Okay.
7 that live.
Oh, they can?
Yeah, there
Yeah,
are.
yeah.
Yeah, and just in terms of the she shed, unfortunately, that would not be permitted, so.
Okay.
Yeah. You can have them as storage buildings, but not really to be occupied in those kind of ways.
I trust that it is changing, because I heard you guys say last night, Berea needs more things. Like I asked about the home in the backyard too. I'm trusting, I'm manifesting. It's coming, it's coming. But I hear you. Thank you for asking that though.
Yes, ma'am.
I really appreciate it.
Okay, would certainly entertain a motion. There's one.
I make a motion that we approve the conditional use request for a neuro-optical training office in an R1 single-family residential PUD zone for Sarita Trawick at 409 Middle Creek Way.
A motion has been made. Any discussion on the motion?
Oh, yes, I'd like to amend that motion and say that it falls under our educational social services as a counseling service in an R1.
Is there any further discussion? Or a second?
Second.
Second, and hopefully you caught all that. There's a second. Is all in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Yay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So just one more thing, for like home-based businesses, things like that, as I explained to you on the phone, we don't really want to advertise these to our neighbors.
Okay.
Generally speaking.
Oh, okay.
The neighbors shouldn't even know that there's a home-based business there, right?
Okay. I
But we
like
do
that.
allow you to have a little, like a 2x2 incidental sign, just, and really more directionally, so people know how to enter your home, things like that. That is certainly appropriate. You can
Okay.
do that.
Okay.
You just can't put a billboard out in your front yard.
And can't post it on Facebook.
Or
No, you can. You
Oh.
can advertise all
Oh,
you
I
want
can?
to. Yeah,
Oh,
I'm
okay.
saying on the premise.
On the premise.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So,
yeah, can't stand in the front yard with a bullhorn. or-
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah, not that kind of stuff. But you can have a little sign that directs
Okay.
people.
Did you get your clients?
I'm
through
sorry.
referrals?
Oh, and a business license, but I think you already got
I did.
that.
I
Yeah.
have my business
Okay.
license
Yep.
here in Kentucky. Thank
What's your time?
Oh, local for City of Berea?
For,
So you'll need a City of Berea business license as well. And you can do that through that same online portal that you applied for this.
I think, wouldn't it, well, is there Kentucky in general and then there's Berea
There's a
specific?
local. Mhm.
Oh.
There is a
I
local.
can't, I have, hold on. Let me see what this says. That's my registered agent, here it is. Kentucky Secretary of State,
No, this
Is
will
that what you're
be
saying?
specific to City
it
of
would be
Berea.
Berea.
And so what you're gonna do is you're gonna go to that same online portal that you applied for this permit,
Okay.
for this.
Uh-huh,
And there is a business license application.
and what I did was called not a business license.
No, what
I
you
do
did
is
was a
both.
conditional use permit. That's what tonight is.
No, I'm saying, I actually have from the Kentucky Secretary of State, I have a number, an ID number, that I have a business.
But it's required for the state and for locally.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's both.
Oh, okay, all right,
Okay.
okay, is that?
The city doesn't charge as much as the state.
Yeah, that's true. Ours
Yeah.
is $25.
The state wasn't bad either compared to Oregon, but Oregon only had one. But
Yeah.
thank you guys, thank you so much, I appreciate your time.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Good luck. Is there a motion to adjourn? All in
Second.
favor?